All right. Start something simple. Your story or something.
Nick, it was your first year. What'd you think?
Oh boy. Well, going back to when we first started going out to your dad's house, I remember this was something that like I had a hard time dealing with this. The beginning of the season, when we went to his dad's, we set up, we scouted, we knew where all the deer were moving. We had all the food plots set up. I knew where all the stands were, knew where all the cameras were. And then I remember we went out opening morning and didn't really see much. I had a couple run in front of me. And then that evening, I remember we were talking to your dad, and your dad was like, you know, having 3 guys on the property, that's a little too much for one spot. So they're like, what we're going to do is we're actually going to move you over to our neighbor's house, which has the property butts up together. And I remember like I kind of let my emotion on my face go because I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do now. Like I just spent all this time.
You looked very scared.
Like I at first like I thought I did something wrong. Like I thought like I was in trouble. Like, you know, what did I do? I mean, I just sat. Like, what did I do? Like, I thought I did something wrong.
Did you hear me?
But no, so they took me over to their neighbor's house and I met him. He's a really nice guy. And we decided to start getting stuff set up there. They showed me the layout of the land and kind of did some basic scouting for a little bit just to get an idea of it. And they were like, yeah, you know, you want to set stuff up? And I was like, yeah. His dad was like, I got an extra stand. We'll set it up for you. You know, we'll get some corn out. I went out and I got a mineral block. And then I went out and got a couple extra trail cams and set them up in some spots where like we saw some sign. And we did this. This was a Wednesday evening. And I remember talking to them because they were more familiar with, you know, that area because they've hunted that property before. And I was like, you know, should I give it a week or two to let the deer get used to, you know, the stand being there and let, you know, the corn be in there? And his dad told me, he was like, dude, I've set stands up the same day that I've shot deer. And he's like, just come out when you can. I was like, all right. So it was Friday after work. I got home and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. You know, I called him. He said he was going to go out and he was going to sit back in his dad's place. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. Went back there. You know, I was back there for 45 minutes?
Not even.
If that.
Remember, you texted me at like, I think it was like 4:45. You're like, I just sat down. And then at like 5:15, like all caps, he's like, I got one. No, I hit one. And I was like, okay, cool. We'll be over in a minute. So we go over and I'm like, where'd you hit it? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, where'd it run? I don't know. I heard a noise over there.
I remember I told him, I was like, well, when they took off, I was like, I know they ran that way. And I told him, like, you know, I heard a crash. But I mean, the thing is like, usually, like when you get a deer, like even if it's like, I don't know. And like my experience, like getting a hit and it running, like I'm not used to like hearing it fall or seeing it fall. Like I always have to go and find it somewhere. You know, you give it time to let it sit. But from the time that I shot to the time that I heard that loud crash, in my head, it was like 5 seconds. It felt like. And when they came over, I was standing there waiting for them, and they're asking me all these questions, and I'm just like, I'm fine.
You barely talk. It was hysterical.
But they're like, which way did it go? And I was like, that way. And I heard a crash. So I immediately just wanted a beeline. I'm like, that's the direction. I know it's the direction. I heard it over there. I want to go there. And they're like, slow down. Like that could have been something else. You know, let's check the blood trail. So we ended up following a blood trail, and it ended up getting into some thick swampy stuff. And at one point in time, his dad actually had to pull me out because my boot went all the way up. Like the mud went to my knee. And you can't see it on camera, but I am not very tall.
You're vertically challenged.
Yes, quite. I'm like 5'0", and I was 3 feet into mud. So his dad actually had to pull me out. And I remember we walked around and I saw this tree. I think Kyle and I kind of saw it around the same time. But this tree just covered in blood. And they were staggered. So we had blood here, blood here, blood here. And it was quite a bit. And I remember Kyle saw her before I did. And he turns around and he kind of like grits his teeth and he goes like this, and I kind of like, what'd I do? Like, I thought I did something wrong, and he's like, congratulations. I'm like, what? And he's like, she's right there. And then I just went nonverbal.
You
like
did.
I couldn't.
You just made noises for 20 minutes.
I couldn't say anything. Like, I just kept smiling, and then I was like, I didn't know what to do. But no, I had a really good hit on her, and she did fall right where I heard that crash. But yeah, and then dragging her out of that, oh, that was a good time. Luckily, his dad has a mule and drove it over, and we could kind of drag it out.
A side by side, not a legitimate mule. We're not just dragging deer with donkeys out here.
Not sponsored. Yeah, I was cleaning it out in the woods, and I remember his dad was trying to help me, and made the mistake. We nicked some guts. And
there was no you. I was standing there. And I saw him do it.
Oh, it was putrid.
Buddy, you're in for a good one.
It was putrid, and I remember I was trying to keep my cool, and I was fine. And then his dad, I'll never forget. He's like, "Man, that stinks."
Immediately after he said that,
started gagging, and it's just like my mind didn't register it until he said it, and then it made the entire experience a lot more fun cleaning that deer. But we got it done, put it in the back of the mule, and drove out. After that, I went and took it somewhere to get it processed. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it was a crazy experience, because that was the first time that I actually like got out in the woods, like sat and did the prep work and everything, and kind of got an idea of the layout. But I mean, still, 45 minutes, like I'm still gonna get a hard time from for that forever.
It was fun for like me and Dad too, because we're so like, killing deer for us is old habit. So to watch somebody still get like that worked up over it, because a lot of times me and Dad kill deer during the week, and like we have to work. So I'm like, I got one, and everyone's like, okay, let's get this done. We got a lot of work to do. So like to watch someone still get like that jazzed up over it was really cool. That was super enjoyable for us. And then you did it again in like a week, and then you did it again 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
And now I feel like hunting's going to be real hard for you now.
Yeah. That's what I was like, I don't know why you guys are, this hunting stuff is, it's easy.
But you guys talk like this is so hard, man. Yeah, I've only hunted for an hour and a half this year.
Yeah, it was, I think it was Halloween.
Yeah, you shot your buck?
Yeah, I tagged out by Halloween. And,
that was a fun one, because it was just me and you on that blood trail.
Yep. Then it was cool because the night before it actually snowed a little bit. And
yeah, I mean, we were both excited. We're like, dude, we got to go. It's snow on the ground. Like, it's going to be nice.
Then we started getting worried, because throughout the day, like it turned out to be like a really sunny day, and we thought all the snow was going to melt. So I'm like, man, like, everything that we were hoping for, like, it's going to be gone. But luckily, where we were at in the woods, because there was so much tree cover, there was still snow when we got in the woods. So, before we got out there, his dad actually gave me this little bleat call, and I'd never used one before. I'd never even heard of it before. And he's like, like every 10, 15 minutes, hit this thing. And I was like, all right. So I was back there for a little while, and I decided, all right, I'm going to try this. And I did, and I didn't see anything. It was out there for, I don't know, like an hour or so.
No.
Not even?
No, it was another 45-minute job. You had the easiest first season of your life.
Well,
I tried to convince him the whole time. I was like, hey, man, like, you set this stand-up Wednesday, you shot one Friday. Like, it's super cool, but, like, you might go a long time not even seeing one. Like, a week later, he's like, I got it. Like, we both shot deer the same night. And I was like, all right, man, you're on a hot streak, but, like, I wouldn't get used to it. And I think you hunted one more time, and you saw a deer, and then you hunted at Halloween and shot that. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, everything I thought wasn't going to happen happened.
Yeah, the one thing that really surprised me the most about the deer is, like, most of them came to where, the corn pile was, but their route to the corn was not what I anticipated. Just because the entire time, like, you see these trails and everything, and you're anticipating, oh, this is where they're going to move in. Because where I was in a tree that's facing a field. I had about, I'd say, 20 to 25 yards to the field, and there's a tree line that basically covers like the field. And I always thought, these deer are going to cross this way and they're going to cross this way. Every time, actually, that these deer came in, besides the one, they came from behind me. And they weren't anywhere I anticipated. So when I was sitting in that stand and I hit that bleat call, I remember I heard some leaves cracking, and I actually had to lean and look around this tree. And there's a hill probably about 50 yards behind me, and I saw these two does going up this hill, which I recognized the does because they were with the first doe that I had shot. Well, when I hit that bleat call, the weird thing was it actually drew the does in, not the bucks, because there were actually two bucks with them. I noticed one was like a small 6-point. The other one, I thought it was a 6-point because it was a little bit bigger bodied and had a bigger rack. And once the does came in, I was like, okay, well, that drew them in. How can I get these bucks to come over? So I had a grunt call, and I hit the grunt a couple times, and that set them off because they realized these does were coming towards this grunt call. So they were like, oh, absolutely not. So then I saw the bucks come in. The first smaller buck came in, and I remember that buck was probably within 15, 18 yards from me. And I just remember thinking, I know that other one was bigger. I know he was. And I'm like, if this is going to be my buck this year, I'm going to wait. At the very least, I'm like, this is a cool experience because I literally called this thing in. That's the first time I've ever done that. And I'm sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. And it felt like forever. It was realistically probably 10 minutes. And then I see this bigger buck walk up, and he's right next to me. He's probably 10 yards. He almost rubbed up against the tree that I was sitting in.
Size-wise, how big was he?
Oh, man.